sure that you're putting in the time to develop your own listening. And this is to use references in the studio. This is crucially important. Clients don't always love the idea of hearing references, their stuff referenced against other work. Chances are you don't love the idea of references, hearing your stuff referenced against other work. A lot of people are afraid of using references. Sometimes we'll hide this fear behind a veil of, no, my stuff's totally different. There's no reference for this. It's not supposed to sound like anything. This is the new fresh dopeness. And maybe that's true. But what's still important is to know what the literature of recorded music sounds like in your space. You can't break new ground unless you know where the old ground is. And let's be honest, sometimes the job is to make a mix fit into a certain world, a certain genre, in a way that's appropriate, and also to push the boundaries. And to do that, you got to know where the boundaries are. More fundamentally, you want to know what too bassy sounds like in your room, what too bright sounds like in your room, what too harsh or too reverby sounds like in your room. And the best way to do this is to listen to commercial recordings that you really love the sound of or respect the production on. And I recommend doing a bit of this, a bit of listening, before each session that you start. We do not have a perfect and permanent memory for sound. And we've really got to reacclimate to the space that we're in with some regularity. But in general, when you're starting out or you're an intermediate level, you're a professional, but you haven't gotten people beating down your door yet, screaming that they want to mix with you, if you're in that place, it's a really good idea to compare your work to the work of other people who do work that you respect. And are you in the same ballpark? This can be very scary and intimidating to begin with. And I think that's one of the reasons people really avoid it. They don't want to compare themselves to their favorite work and hear how they stack up. But it can actually be very free, very liberating, and very confident. But I think you're only going to get there by knowing what other recordings sound like in your space, referencing them, I'd say at the beginning of the day, and ideally at some point, maybe halfway through the day, it can be useful to revisit some references during perhaps one of your larger breaks. The novelist Stephen King, in his book On Writing, said that if you want to be a writer, one of the most important things you can do is read. And he said, if you don't have the time to read, you don't have the time or the tools to write. There's a real parallel here with mixing as well. If you don't have the time to listen to great mixes, you don't have the time or the tools to make great mixes of your own.